Hello, 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 class. Welcome to my vlog response to Alex's prompt this week. I think I'm just going to run right into it, hopefully, see if I can stay within my 6-7 minute mark, hopefully. Because in previous weeks I've shot over it. So, as I said, I'm going to dive in. I think I really agree with Alex in terms of how he started by saying it was there were a lot of eye-opening statements or just steps involved. For me, it was a good education, and I think I'm going to start by trying to answer a couple of his questions. Alex had asked, what can we do as student affairs professionals to help LGBT students feel more comfortable and enable them to be themselves, and not have to hide their identity or, feel like they can't be comfortable on campus. I think what we can do is definitely make sure that we are creating an environment where it's not a secret, and it's not. I think a lot of groups. I'm guessing, but I'm assuming and guessing at the same time that I think a lot of the LGBT groups on campuses across the country are relatively quiet and secretive and behind the scenes, and I really don't think I think it's great that the groups exist, but I think one way to help, especially in parts of the country like that aren't as modern and open-minded, such as the South, I think it would be great to make these groups more visible. And even if you're not advertising the groups towards non-LGBT students, I think it's, you don't have to be advertising and trying to bring them along. I think just having the groups known to everybody on campus, just knowing that they exist, I think would help to be, to get out in the open and make sure that people are aware and at least have the ability to learn and open their minds a little bit and be less ignorant and be less discriminatory. Go with discriminatory. I think it's definitely our job to, not our job, but it's definitely, we have the ability to educate this generation so that, the next generation of children, our children, if they're developing their identity as a lesbian, gay, bisexual, or even transgender student, they shouldn't have to hide it and take so long to move away from the identity of a straight person. I think that's from the readings. I definitely learned how difficult the process. How many steps there are involved between. At the very start, everybody's brought up to have a heterosexual identity, because that's the norm, and then I think we should be able to create an environment where we're educating everyone now, so that then, as I said, the next generation shouldn't have to go through so many phases and steps of developing and having their identity known out in the public without any shame. And I think the way that we do that is just continue to make the groups known and available, and show our support across campuses, rather than make them behind the scenes. If you wanna, if you're developing your identity as a lesbian or a gay student or a bisexual student, you can ask him, who can ask her, who can join a group. I think I'm not explaining this very well, but I think you get what I'm saying. Rather than have these secret groups or behind the scenes groups, get it out in the open. Make it not a taboo subject in some of these areas of the country that, as I said before, aren't as open-minded. Get it out in the open, make it known to everybody across campus that we are supporting and willing to help, and break down barriers, and won't stand for stereotypes and discrimination against LGBT students. So that was a kind of long-winded explanation of how, as a student affairs professional, I would try to make LGBT students feel more comfortable on campus with their identity. What was another question of Alex's? I honestly don't see any more parallels to other groups of students. I was trying to think of that one, but I'm not sure how to answer. A couple of points that I found very interesting that I haven't put on my notes was just the socio-historical connections, such as law and policy, like laws and policies. I think it still disgusts me that it's illegal in some states for same-sex marriages. I think it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense that two people that love each other, that are the same sex, can't get married and celebrate their love like they would if they were a male and a female. I don't get it. So that again, that was a reinforcing the shock, not the shock, but it makes me sad that these laws and policies still exist to this day. That that's something that LGBT people have to deal with. I think it's really sad, and it was something that just reminded me about that. So that I think the laws and the policies, it was good for me to read that's a big factor, obviously, in the process, in the development. Obviously, environment and opportunities were spoken about through most of the readings. How your environment is a huge factor in when you're coming out and finding your lesbian or your gay or bisexual identity, and developing it and making it, then getting into that community. I think it totally depends on your environment and your opportunities. I think it spoke a lot about how much in 20 years the opportunities have evolved from 74 to 94. Obviously, since 1994 we've evolved another 20 years to 2014, and I think, yes, there are so many more opportunities. They were talking about gay bars, and for example, but still not enough. I think something that stuck out for me was the example of, for a gay man in a big city such as New York, the opportunities are so much greater than they would be if it was someone, a gay man living in, the outskirts of Valdosta, Georgia, for example. So obviously I really agree that opportunities and the environment, the social environment, are two huge factors in the process. Another couple of things just to wrap up that I found interesting through most of the readings was that the development of laws is obviously going to be a huge factor moving forward. Again, linked to the same-sex marriage laws, I still think it's so surprising and shocking that the same-sex couples still have problems with things like adopting, housing applications. I think it can affect so many things in your life that's part of even the decision to change your identity from a heterosexual to a homosexual identity. So I understand. I don't understand. I can't empathise, but I understand the struggle. Why it would be a struggle to go through that identity development process. I think the readings really opened my eyes a little bit. I already had an understanding and an open mind, but just some of the details were good for me to learn. And the several steps in the process as to why it would be difficult, because everybody's upbringing is, the norm, if you like, the norm is to stray away from same gender. When you're in preschool and you're rehearsing for the school dance, boys go with girls to rehearse the dance. And if boys hug boys in recess, it's not surprising for the teachers to say, "Hey, boys don't hug boys." And that's something moving forward that people in education have to adjust to if we want to continue the the positive development, because as I said before, yeah, there has been a lot of development and progression in the last 20, 40 years, but it has to continue to develop so that we can make LGBT students and people, after their education, feel comfortable and feel that they can really develop their identity without fear or feelings of shame or anything like that. So I did a excuse me, I did a terrible job of staying within my 7-ish minutes mark, but I feel like I didn't really know how to map out my thoughts today. I just read the readings, listened to Alex's video a couple of times, and just sort of gave my thoughts and reactions to the readings. So I hope it was okay. I will see you guys in class. Good night.